History is not only written in words, it's etched in images. A photograph is more than just ink on paper or pixels on a screen. It is a frozen heartbeat, a captured breath, a moment of humanity preserved forever. We are going to explore rare and forgotten photographs that tell stories no textbook could ever fully explain. Each one is a doorway into the past, sometimes haunting, sometimes inspiring, sometimes so strange it feels unreal. By the end of this journey, you may never look at an old photo the same way again. The first image takes us back to April 1912, on the docks of Southampton. Families gathered proudly beside a massive ship, the Titanic, a vessel hailed as unsinkable. In this photo, you can see the pride in their eyes, the elegance of Edwardian fashion, and the hopeful smiles of men, women, and children about to embark on the journey of a lifetime. What they didn't know is that this photograph would become a memorial. Just 4 days later, the Titanic struck an iceberg and sank beneath the freezing Atlantic. More than 1,500 lives were lost. When you look closely at this picture, you can almost hear the chatter of the crowd, the footsteps on wooden planks, the excitement of people dreaming of a new life in America. But with hindsight, it feels chilling, as if the camera itself knew the tragedy waiting just beyond the horizon. From the calm waters of Southampton, we moved to the ashes of Tokyo in 1945. In one of the most haunting images of the Second World War, a young boy stands stiffly, carrying his baby sister on his back. His face is unreadable, his lips pressed tightly, his eyes staring forward without a tear. Behind him, smoke rises. The girl he carries is lifeless. This boy is waiting silently at a cremation site, where bodies are being burned after an air raid. The photographer who captured this moment later said that the child's composure was more moving than any words he had ever heard. He stood like a soldier, but he was only a child. When you look at this image, you can feel the silence. It reminds us that history isn't just about generals and leaders. It's about children who had to carry burdens they never should have faced. This single photograph has come to symbolize resilience, grief, and the terrible cost of war. Not all photographs are born in tragedy. Some capture the unstoppable power of hope. In 1963, during the March on Washington, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. A panoramic photo from that day shows the National Mall overflowing with people. Hundreds of thousands, shoulder to shoulder, their voices united in a demand for equality. Look closely and you'll notice something remarkable. It's not just seasoned activists. It's mothers holding children, teenagers who skipped school, elderly men who had seen decades of segregation. They all stood together that day, believing their presence mattered. And it did. This photo is a reminder that history isn't only made by leaders, but by ordinary people who believe in extraordinary change. Let's step back further to one of the earliest photographs of New York City in the 1800s. The scene is almost unrecognizable. Horse-drawn carriages rattle along cobblestone streets. Men in top hats walk briskly while gas lamps line the sidewalks. The skyline is low, humble. No towering skyscrapers, no neon lights, no rumble of subways beneath the ground. When you compare this to a modern city, it feels like looking into a dream. And yet, it reminds us of something vital. Every great city began as something small. Every skyscraper started with a brick. Every future begins as someone's present. Now we arrive at one of the most famous and controversial photographs of all time. A sailor kissing a nurse in Times Square. Taken in 1945 as World War II came to an end. For decades, this image has been celebrated as a symbol of victory and joy. Newspapers splashed it across front pages, and people believed it captured pure relief at the war's end. But the story isn't so simple. The kiss was spontaneous and unplanned. The sailor did not know the nurse, and later debates arose over whether she had consented. To some, it remains a beautiful symbol of joy. To others, it is a reminder that not every story is as polished as we like to remember. This single photo shows us that even history's most iconic images carry layers of truth and controversy. In 1955, a simple act of defiance shook the foundations of segregation. Rosa Parks, a quiet seamstress in Montgomery, Alabama, refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger. Soon after, a photograph captured her being fingerprinted by a police officer. The image is striking in its simplicity. Park stands calmly, her expression steady, almost serene. She knew that her small act would come with consequences, yet she also knew it could spark change. That photograph is not just a record of her arrest. It is a portrait of quiet courage, the kind that reshapes nations. Not all rare photographs are serious. Some show the lighter side of history. In 1951, after celebrating his 72nd birthday, Albert Einstein was leaving an event when photographers asked him to smile. Tired of posing, Einstein stuck out his tongue instead. The photo instantly became one of the most famous images of the 20th century. It shows us something important. Even the greatest minds in history were human. Behind every genius, there is always a spark of humor. In 1969, Neil Armstrong captured a photo of Buzz Aldrin standing on the surface of the moon. What makes this photo remarkable is not just the astronaut, but the reflection in his visor. You can see Armstrong himself, holding the camera, the lunar module behind him, and the Earth floating in the distance. It was the first time humanity truly saw itself from another world, a fragile blue planet suspended in the vastness of space. This single image reminded us that despite all our wars, struggles, and divisions, we all share one small home. Here is perhaps the most ancient photograph ever captured. Taken over 190 years ago by Joseph Nicephore Niepce from his estate window, this image freezes a mundane rooftop and rustic tree. But what it really captures is the dawn of a new era, one where light itself could be frozen in time. This humble scene marks the beginning of photography, a door opened into history. Here we witness history in motion. Gertrude Adderley, the champion swimmer, becomes the first woman to conquer the English Channel in 1926. This rare image shows her strength, focus, and the thrill of setting a record no one believed she could. Every stroke of that journey carried the weight of societal change. This unsettling image reveals the secrets of Victorian family photography, known as hidden mother photos. Because exposure times were long, mothers would hide behind curtains or drape themselves under shawls to hold children still. The result? Ghostly portraits where safety was sacrificed for memory. If these rare photos made history feel alive to you, then imagine how many more untold stories are still waiting in forgotten albums, dusty archives, and family shoeboxes around the world. Which of these images struck you the most tonight? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to keep journeying with me through history's hidden photographs, make sure you subscribe and join me again. Because the past is never really gone. It is always there, waiting for us in a single frame.